Hello there. Welcome back to the Senate Podcast. We're on episode number 48, so close to 50. This is a podcast all about gaming, all about movies. You can throw in TV, comics. We were talking about card games a second ago, but one thing we like to do is just talk about the stuff that we love. And by we, I mean myself, the host, Caleb Johnston, and my co-host, Tony Quinn. Tony Quinn, thank you for joining me today. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. I was talking before we started recording, but after like a few months, I think, of not playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I played a fair bit of it earlier today, mainly trying to advance the story with like open world type stuff. When I play them, I have sessions where it's all about story, and then other sessions where I indulge in side content. So I advanced quite a bit of the story. Oh man, I don't even know what to say. There were thrills. There were some of the best boss fights I've ever played in games. Incredible music, emotional moments. Got me right here. So I can't wait for Final Fantasy VII to once again just obliterate my mind and soul.
So that's where you're at. Okay.
Yeah.
I have been watching The Acolyte.
Me too.
That's what I've been doing recently. One thing I would recommend to anybody is, if you're going to watch it episode by episode and wait a week between each episode, just wait. Don't give your final opinions after the first episode. I've never understood that mentality. This is a whole season, a whole series or whatever, and we're going to base our whole our whole opinion about the entire show, a finalized opinion about the show after the first episode. I don't get it. So I'm just saying that to say I watched 4 episodes back to back. So I didn't watch the whole season in an entirety back to back, but I waited till the 4th episode, and I'm so glad I waited. But that's where I'm at. The Acolyte, super fun, but I don't want to get your thoughts on it yet because we're going to do an episode about it. Because this is a Star Wars-based podcast, so we're going to do that. But, I was listening to a podcast earlier, and this podcast, it was my very first time listening to it, and I didn't really like how they set up their podcast, like how they structure their episodes, I should say. Great content, but I didn't like how they structured their episodes. So I was like, okay, let me go listen to another one. Okay, let me listen to another one. Let me listen to another one. Every single episode was the same structure, which is good because, I listen to podcasts where they have the same structure week in and week out because, you know what you're going to get. Sometimes, you want to listen to something because you know what it is. And then sometimes you want to listen to something because you don't know what it is and you want to experience something new. So I'm glad with this podcast we can do something new pretty much every time we get on. You see the title, you know the episode. That's kind of what I want to do. Not so much, hey, this is episode number 245, and it's going to be the same thing as the previous episodes. This one is more like, okay, I don't know what we're going to get next week, but let me see the title, and if it's interesting, I'll watch it. If not, it is what it is. So what we've been doing has been working. So I like just keeping it. Let's get on here and let's just talk about, what we want to talk about, and that be it. We don't have to cover everything all at once. We can have specific episodes. So, Tony, I said at the top, we're at episode 48. This one's going to be all about gaming. Yeah, because we're on episode 48. Now, technically, we have done more than 50 episodes. We've done, I think, close to 56, but there's a lot that aren't labeled as episodes, and that leads into our topic. Instead of doing what we did last summer, where we did a specific video for each showcase, and it was not an official episode, it was just us kind of talking about the showcases, we're going to do it as an official episode this time, where we just talk about the showcases. So we're not going to run through them and review them game for game, but we're just going to talk about the showcases, the direct, whatnot. And it's not really so that we can look back and review whatever the showcases like a lot of people do online where they want to rate one versus the other for console war sake. But what we're going to do is kind of talk about the games that got us hyped for the future of this year and the future of these consoles while we have them. All right. Tony, what game got you most hyped for the future of video games?
Out of all three?
Out of everything. What are you most hyped for right now? We just saw a ton of games that are going to be released this year, next year. What is it?
Well, I mean, I'll say for the future, my favorite thing isn't a new game. It's the freeing from a certain platform jail of an older game that a lot of JRPG fans have been clamoring for. So I'll say the brand new game that has me the most excited is Infinity Nikki. No, I'm kidding. I think that looks really fun, but that's not it. Honestly, either. You know what? I'm gonna say until I think of another one. I'm gonna say Mario and Luigi Brothership.
Let's go.
Because
that's a good one.
I have Superstar Saga for the Game Boy Advance. I haven't beaten it. I'm gonna start it over again. But you know, like that's cool. One for the OG fans that have been like wanting something from that series, and really like I think the last platforms they had anything on were the 3DS. I think it's been like 9 years, and like
it's been a while. Yeah.
You know, like it looks it. I like how they like experimented with kind of a new art style. Like it's not, you know, like the typical like new 3D Mario art style. Like it's a little stylized, you know.
It's stylized, yeah, definitely.
I don't know what you call it, but it just looks, you know, really fun. It pops. It looks like they put a lot of love and care into it. And I mean, there are quite a few Mario games, both remakes and
it's definitely cell shaded.
Newer.
Yeah. Now that type of art style, I'm not even sure what you would call that. Maybe I can try to research it real quick, but definitely something cell shaded. I don't know. It looks good.
So I'm gonna say that, and then honestly, it's kind of a tie between that and The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, because I mean, one, we get to play as Zelda in a game. I'm not like a fan of the series, but I mean, I still think I always like female protagonists in video games. I just like seeing something that's not like 20 other things I've seen before. I think that's cool, you know. And it like the actual gameplay loop looks really interesting. Like she has this wand that she can create like copies of like objects or enemies and use those to like traverse or like in combat, you know, like you could summon an enemy that you made a copy of and then they could fight the enemy. So it, you know, like I'm really curious to see how much replay values in something like this, you know, like it kind of seems like it's not, you know, just like a typical like action game. Like it's a adventure kind of puzzle, who knows what else. So I think that'll be really interesting. And it's in the Link's Awakening remake graphical style, which I think looks really cool. And it's not like a big sprawling Zelda game. It's just, you know, like a small experience. And that's usually what I gravitate towards when I play anything. So I'd say the two of those, as far as like brand new games, were ones that I didn't think we would get. And then I think they look really cool. And I can't wait for them to join the pile of Switch exclusives that I haven't played yet.
What they need to do is bring Mario and Luigi Partners in Time back, because that game was absolutely amazing. But yeah, this Brotherhood, is that what it's called? Yeah, Brothership. Is definitely interesting. I love the art style. It looks cool. So that has me hyped too. But it's funny. The game I'm actually most hyped for wasn't part of this summer showcase at all. I'm most hyped for Judas. That'll never change until the game comes out. I'm so hyped for it. But from these showcases, I am so hyped for Doom, Dark Ages. That, for
Actually, I
one,
didn't see the trailer for that yet.
so look it up. Doom, the Dark Ages is what it's officially called.
Okay, right here.
It's the sequel. Well, it's the next game in the series, but it's a prequel to Doom 2016. You'll see it. It's super interesting. That Xbox showcase. Wow. Even without, here's the thing. They're definitely cheating in a way because they just bought Activision Blizzard. King, ABK. I mean, do you really consider those Xbox games? Nobody does. They're not Xbox games. Now, it did make sense for them to purchase somebody like Bethesda, ZeniMax, because those are more of Xbox games and they have their hands in the pot a little bit more with that, with Bethesda. With Call of Duty, they have like no say in in anything. But now I guess they do. But anyways, even my point is, and I'm making a good point here, without Black Ops 6 in the beginning of their showcase, the showcase was still absolutely amazing. But then you put, them adding Call of Duty Black Ops 6 to the showcase. This showcase was amazing. It's the first Call of Duty with this type of new movement, and it looks incredible. Then all the way down to Doom: The Dark Ages. That game looks incredible.
This game, I mean, just by looking at it, it makes no sense. But I mean,
That's
looks
the fun.
like a ton of fun.
That's the fun of it.
It is weird. Like in the beginning, they're like, before he became a hero, yada yada. So it's like they're gonna give kind of a backstory for a protagonist who's never really been like a character from what I know. That's kind of weird.
Like, well, that's another.
Why,
well, that's
I don't know.
why I'm so excited.
Like,
because
so, like, is he like 7,000 years old then? Since he's been around since the Dark Ages. I mean, that's
sure.
a fun idea. I don't care.
I'm not
it's
sure.
Not like I'm like critiquing the logic of Doom. I don't.
No, that's why this is interesting. Yeah. When have you ever thought about the logic of Doom?
Yeah,
never. But this is making you think about it. And what's crazy is Doom, the IP and the franchise of Doom is so historic and so like important to gaming that Doom 1 and 2 and 3 came out and the IP was kind of just dormant and kind of dead, even though those were amazing games. And then they managed to bring it back in 2016 as something incredible. And then Doom Eternal, which was mind-blowing, but it still kept the essence of what made the original Doom games so good. So I'm thinking that Dark Ages is going to be an absolute hit. I already called it. That's going to be Game of the Year.
Okay.
Is it this year?
Let me see. Is there like any kind of specific flow you wanted to have to this? Because I was thinking about the Nintendo Direct because that's the most recent, but then I remember these two other games that I'm actually more excited about than the ones I just said.
No, that's fine. We go whatever. So
recant. I mean,
Dark Ages come out in 2025. So I'm still saying it. It's going to be Game of the Year, even though a bunch of other games are coming out in 2025. It's going to be a crazy year, but Doom: The Dark Ages looks special. Get your thoughts together. One thing I want to say though is, I love Xbox. I'm so hard on Xbox because
Xbox is cool.
I want Xbox to be great. Xbox, nobody can tell me, or you, or themselves when they look in the mirror, that Xbox was great during the Xbox One era, because it wasn't. It might have been good, whatever. They introduced Game Pass. They had maybe a good game, maybe like one game, but Xbox One was not a good era. This new era, I don't even know if you want to call it the series, the Xbox Series era, but this new era of Xbox is good. Since they've bought Bethesda, they have been making good decisions, and I say that as they just shut down Tango, but nonetheless, it's part of the business. They're doing good right now. I want Xbox to do great. I am a huge fan of their IP, especially Gears of War. So, Doom: The Dark Ages has me excited, but something else that's right up there with it is Gears of War E-Day. That's really the only other one I want to talk about that is Xbox related. I'm excited for Perfect Dark, but we didn't see too much. Gears of War E-Day, we actually got more information on, I believe, maybe. It's a prequel, and I love prequel games. My favorite Gears is Gears Judgment, and it's a prequel. I love the fact that this is a prequel. I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about an interview they had with Coalition, and they were talking about how they wanted to take what people thought Gears was, which when you think about Gears, you think that it's dark, you think it's gruesome, almost horror-esque, and they wanted to take that and then take all of the experience in developing Gears of War games that they got from making Gears 4 and 5 and make a true, true to fashion, true to form Gears of War game in Gears E-Day. So what's funny is they're dropping the Gears title and they're going back to Gears of War, and then they're calling it E-Day. It's making it a prequel. It's going to be dark. I think it's going to be a hit. I think it's going to be one of the best games of the year. I think it'll probably be up there in the nominations for Game of the Year.
It's cool that they're bringing back that franchise because it's been quite a while.
I'm so glad it's a prequel, too. They needed this. Arguably more than a Halo. They needed this game. This and Forza, that's the only thing saving them right now. So, Xbox Showcase was awesome. Shout out to Perfect Dark. I'm excited. So, what other games were you thinking about?
Okay, these aren't actually... Okay, one of them's Xbox exclusive.
Don't say that.
And then... No, I heard that latest trailer showed that you can also play it in third person.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, cool. The thing that made it unique is now not actually a thing. But what are we doing here? I think that game looks okay, but
I was super excited, and then I was not excited at all, and now I'm a little excited because of that latest trailer from them. Because of not really the combat or action of the game, but the world building and choices in the RPG aspects. I think the RPG aspects are kind of interesting. I believe that game is from Obsidian, who did Outer Worlds, but I'm excited for that just because I think they're interesting developers. Hopefully I got that information.
Obsidian, yeah.
Okay. So that's why I'm interested, but that and Indiana Jones. Okay. Machine Games, I believe Indiana Jones. Machine Games making it, but the gameplay looks terrible. I'm sorry, it looks bad. First person looks stiff, but the game is going to be good. Story's going to be interesting. The world is going to be cool. The characters are obviously going to be great. So I'm excited for that too.
How many legendary characters will Troy Baker voice in his lifetime?
Crazy. And after he's gone, when they recreate his voice with AI. He's never leaving.
That's the end of the episode, guys.
Yep.
Okay, so Mixtape. This is an indie game that has musical elements.
Yes.
I didn't know about this, and then I saw I was gonna send it to you. Sam Lake tweeted it, and he's like, "This looks really cool," and I'm like, I knew there was a reason I love you, Sam Lake, because you have
as soon as I saw this, I thought about you, and I was gonna send it to you.
No, dude,
this game looks awesome.
Here's the thing. As much as I've realized that I like RPGs in the past few years, after thinking I really wasn't a fan of them, I'm like, oh no, RPGs are pretty sick. Narrative/adventure games was always going to be my favorite genre. That's always what I get the most excited for. Those are always the games that impact me the most because, some people are like, have the attitude that they're not really games, it's just basically an interactive movie or show. Even if that's the case, I don't care. That's cool. This has a stacked soundtrack from a lot of classic bands and stuff. Iggy Pop, the Smashing Pumpkins, people like that. I think this looks really interesting, really inventive. It's a breath of fresh air. I can't wait to play it. I wish it wasn't coming out next year, but I want them to really take their time and just polish the heck out of it.
It looks amazing. Actually, it looks really good.
These other two games aren't Actually, one of them is an Xbox exclusive. I think I'm losing my mind.
Let me think.
Okay. Yeah.
Life is
So
Strange.
I have to play the others
Okay.
before I have an opinion on that. South of Midnight.
Oh,
We got
yes.
a gameplay trailer,
Yes.
dude.
Yes.
This
I'm tripping.
freaking, it's like the Into the Spider-Verse animation art style is just infecting everything. That might get tiring at some point, but it's not right now. I don't want to hear you complaining about it. Nobody, shut up. I don't want to hear your comments, nothing. This looks cool. This looks freaking awesome. You're exploring a swamp. It's like a fantasy. To me, this game kind of looks like a gritty adult Disney movie. Like those old school Disney movies, about like people exploring a strange place, for a specific reason and they have no idea what's going on. It just looks cool,
awesome.
The gameplay looks fluid. I can't wait to just explore this area, see all these weird creatures. I just can't wait. That comes out also next year, so plenty of time for them to polish. And then my most anticipated game that ain't Nintendo, because I already listed ones from the Nintendo Direct we just had, aside from one that I'll save for the end, because that's my most anticipated not new game. Claire Obscure Expedition 33. This is
I heard about this.
a turn-based RPG with like
good.
quick time elements. Like when you're in the combat, you'll have to like press buttons and stuff, and that
QTEs,
effects,
baby.
Like QTE style stuff. This just looks great. It's cool that we're getting like a RPG with like adult characters, and with a mature story, because a lot of RPGs are about like young people or teenagers. It looks really Ben Starr, who was the voice of Clive in Final Fantasy 16, is playing. It seems like he's playing a character. In this, we heard his voice in the trailer. So that's
Tell me your
cool.
Final Fantasy 7 remake without telling me your Final Fantasy 7 remake.
I just can't wait to freaking play this again in 2025. I'm noticing a pattern. I hope it's great. I hope it's polished. I hope the story's immersive. I hope it's fun to play. It looks like it is. I just don't really know what else to say. I've never thought I'd be excited for so many RPGs, but dang,
that game looks incredible. Yeah, super excited for a lot of these games. That is a lot of the stuff I'm excited for. I want to talk about another game I'm very excited for, and I'm very interested to see what you think about this. And that is Astrobot.
This looks fun.
Okay.
Astro's Playroom's fun.
Astro Playroom.
It's fun. It's just like a fun, it
was a tech demo. It was not just a tech demo, but it was just one of those pack-in demos that come with consoles. I love when consoles do that. It's so it's just fun. But people are calling this. They're like, oh, it's just a $70 tech demo. No, this is a full game of this. What is to complain about with that? Everyone loves Astro's Playroom. They were like, oh, this is so cool. And then they make a full game, and then people are complaining. But I think it looks awesome. They're representing a lot of the history of PlayStation, and then respecting, a lot of aspects of PlayStation's history with this game, which I think is super cool through the lens of Astrobot, because they're finished with Sackboy. Sackboy was the Astrobot of person, but they're just done with Sackboy. Sackboy's a big adventure, was a fail, even though it was a decent game. Now, Astrobot is actually doing very well. Astrobot Rescue Mission was a huge success on PSVR. Everyone loves Astro's Playroom, and then this Astrobot game looks amazing. Sony, PlayStation has their Mario type game now. They really didn't have a Mario game. Sackboy's Big Adventure was very much like Mario 3D World. And if you played Mario 3D World on the Wii U / Switch, you know what I'm talking about. But they didn't have their Mario. You know what I mean? Their
Yeah.
Mario. So Astrobot is going to be that character for them. It's not Nathan Drake. It's not Ellie. It's not Kratos. Those aren't the Mario characters. Those are their own Sony characters. What I mean by that is you're not going to be somebody who's a fan of Mario and then go to PlayStation and look for that type of game in those other games. Now you're going to be a fan of Mario and you're going to be like, okay, I want more games like this. And then you're going to look over to the other platforms and you're going to see, oh, that Astrobot game looks like this. And it's going to get them, it's going to, you're going to bring in an audience that they don't normally bring in because of the other games they have, which are hyper realistic, action, gritty, narrative focused, single player, corridor driven games. You know what I mean? So this is an open world, fun, lighthearted. It's gonna be funny. I don't know if you watched the trailer for it, but they do some wacky stuff.
And it looks really creative too, with like all the new mechanics and stuff they've come up with.
That, and they had another one. Okay, Lego Horizon.
Yeah, dude. I think it was
Coming to
yesterday.
Switch.
I said this is probably a hot take, but I think this looks better than the actual Horizon Zero Dawn because I
Yeah.
played a little bit of it and I'm like, this is a great game if you like boring games. Hot take, I know. You could crucify me. I don't care because I'm gonna relocate to an undisclosed country, so have fun trying to find me. But when you put it in, Lego and you streamline it a little bit, I don't know. It just looks really interesting. It looks like they could do some really fun stuff, and I think I might actually buy this. Like, I'm genuinely kind of excited for it, which
I'm
is
genuinely
weird.
excited to know what you think about it when you do it because I'm not. I love Horizon, but I'm not interested in this. But I think it's awesome they have it.
I mean, I think the idea is dumb. Like, who thought to make Horizon Lego out of any other thing you could have made a Lego game? But I mean, surprisingly, I think this looks cool. So I might be one of the 5 people that play this. But hey, thanks
Call
Nintendo, or thanks
call me.
whoever you are.
Thanks, Gorilla, and whoever they work
Yeah.
with. I don't know if it was Traveler's Tale, but anyways, they should make. Hear me out. I know this franchise is overdone, but they should make a Lego The Last of Us because think about how dark and gritty and dramatic and sad The Last of Us is, and then you have the whimsical Lego games where like. You know what I mean? You would have somebody die or someone get infected, and then they would, have like a fun little jab or like do something stupid. I think that works perfect with that type of game. I think also Horizon is a good candidate for that too because of what you just said. That if you like boring games, that's the Horizon games. Well, this isn't technically a boring Horizon game. It's a Horizon IP on a fun Lego game. So they're kind of marketing it to people like you, which a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah. Even if it is still like at least kind of open world with like the Lego, because I played some Lego games
It's like
with other
semi-open
people.
world, I think.
Yeah, like I played some Lego games, like not all the way through, but I played them. And like they always have like puzzle-ish elements, like like you find a piece and then you put it on top of another piece, and it lets you like create a switch and access some hidden thing. So I think there's potential, especially because Horizon is essentially a sci-fi franchise.
It's so good.
Like
it is.
They could do some really interesting like puzzle type stuff. With like finding technology and like especially with Lego. Like, oh, I found a piece. Oh, I can combine it with this other thing I found and create this thing. So I really hope they take advantage of that.
Yeah, I think that game's going to do great. And again, they're reaching a different audience with that. And I think this is the year to do it because they don't have their big hitters until next year in 2026. So 2024, they're definitely aiming at a different audience, which is fine. Let them do something different because Xbox is going to sweep the floor this year, honestly. So PlayStation just market to a different audience and let Xbox have their year.
Yeah.
And then, like the Kool-Aid Man, Doug Bowser's busting through with these weird Nintendo Switch games that came out of nowhere. So I had my predictions for the Switch show. I thought it was going to be a lot of remasters because this is late in Switch's life cycle, and they've been doing a lot of remasters anyways. But they announced a brand new Zelda game, and they announced a brand new Mario and Luigi game, and a brand new Mario Party game. No one saw this coming, and it's kind of insane that they did this.
Yeah, definitely.
What was the other one? The Donkey Kong Returns HD. So there's your port.
Yeah,
right there.
I heard that's the third time they've revamped this game.
Yeah, I'm over it. Donkey Kong is good. All these games are terrible, except for Donkey Kong Country because it was developed by Rare. Anything that Retro does, which Retro is the one that did this.
You mean Rare?
No.
Or are you Retro as a company?
Yes.
Or
and
studio?
guess what other game mid franchise Retro has been working on? Metroid. So.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I saw this and I was like, well, it's about damn time.
You want to talk about two of the most boring IPs ever. Here's where everyone turns off the podcast. Good thing it's at the end. Metroid is bye. See, Metroid is mid. I don't care what anyone says. Name a good Metroid game that isn't on a 16 or 32-bit console. Or
I mean, I barely have any experience. I can't, but
no, you can't because all of them are Prime. So I was talking to one of my friends today, and we were talking about how Metroid Prime is one of the greatest series ever. It is historically because GameCube was so ahead of its time. It came out with something like Metroid Prime, and at the time, Metroid Prime, it was incredible. It really was special. Prime 1 and then Prime 2 Echoes. Then you had Prime 3 Corruption, which was all right. And then Prime 4 doesn't look super good. It visually looks fine, but it looks like the Metroid Prime remastered that Retro did. It just looks like that, but with a different story maybe. It looks like the same thing, but a little different. Anyways, Metroid is mid. Tony, do you have anything else to say? Metroid's mid.
I wanted to talk about there's one more game announced at the Direct I forgot about, and then I want to give my last spiel. Is actually kind of an important thing. So the 100 line Last Defense Academy. So this is the next game from I think Spike Chunsoft's involved, but it's Tokyo Games, which is Kazutaka Kodaka, who's the creator of Danganronpa, and then Kotaro Ujikoshi, who is the creator of Zero Escape and AI the Somnia Files. It's their studio and them, and I think it's the composer who did the Danganronpa series and a few other people. They formed an independent studio. I mean, so this basically looks like a similar premise to Danganronpa, but it's also a strategy RPG. I'm going to be honest, that part of the game looks kind of bad, but it might be fun. Who knows? But I'm a sucker for adventure games. I love visual novels. I love Danganronpa and AI the Somnia Files. I like the first Zero Escape. I haven't played the other ones yet. So, I mean, this was made for me. They were Tony's going to be watching this later when he gets home. We need to put something in here that he'll get excited about. Right now it's only announced for Switch and PC. I think because their last game, Master Detective Archives Raincode, was a Switch exclusive for a year, and it's been recently announced that it'll be coming to Xbox and PlayStation. So I'm wondering if they'll do the same for this, but since it's partially a visual novel, I prefer to play those on Switch. So that's where I will be getting it, and it comes out again next year. But I got to save space on my backlog for this. And then the big one, the one that a lot of people thought might happen. Actually, real quick, I just want to say Funko Fusion. That trailer
Yeah,
was legitimately one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life, and
yeah. I heard a lot of
it's
people
really
saying that
cool that
about it.
they're making video games for Guantanamo Bay prisoners. I think that's
Torture for
really
them.
nice of really nice.
Just
No, but
torture.
so RPG fans have been clamoring for years. There was a game released, I think 2016 or something like that, on Apple Arcade, and that's
Oh yeah,
it.
yeah.
It
Okay.
was called Fantasian. It
Yeah.
was from Miss Walker Studios, which is partially founded by the father of Final Fantasy, the legendary Hidenobu Sakaguchi. And people were like, it'd be cool if this game came to consoles because it's locked to Apple Arcade, and how many people are going to pay for that? A lot of people don't really like mobile games. And it's not like a typical mobile game, it's just a story based RPG that just happened to be exclusive to that market. Well, they
Look that
did
up.
it. Fantasian Neo Dimension, which is like a revamped remaster with 4K visuals, voice acting, balanced difficulty, because that was one of the things that I heard was that like the first half of the game was pretty lenient, and then the second half of the game was like, oh my god, this is the hardest thing ever. So they've rebalanced that. Other stuff that I probably forgot. But dude, I played a fair bit of this game on iPhone. This game's great. This game is amazing. It's charming. They create the environments. They're actual dioramas that like they scan into the game. So the visuals are beautiful. The music, the gameplay is like unlike any other turn-based RPG I've played. It's like there's a targeting system. So like you pick which enemies you want to target, and certain attacks let you hit more than one enemy. So there's fun stuff like that. I think I'd actually, if you're interested in playing this, Caleb, I think this is an RPG that you might be able to get into because it's not, just like traditional. Like it has
Yeah, no,
some
that's what I heard. I was listening to a
interesting stuff.
podcast this morning, and they were talking about it, and some of the mechanics that they were talking about seemed very interesting.
Yeah, this comes out like winter of this year. So I got to
Yep.
save space on my backlog because I can't wait to jump in, actually play this whole game better than ever. And this is monumental both because a lot of people wanted this and it's being published by Square Enix. Now, Square Enix hasn't worked with Hidenobu Sakaguchi in a long time. I think the last game he was involved in was Final Fantasy X, maybe, and that was like in 2001. I could be wrong, but so this is just
That's
monumental,
kind of
and
crazy. Yeah.
there's a slight chance, a little itty bitty chance that maybe they'll work together in the future, to create some classic RPGs, that people have been wanting, Final Fantasy to be like its roots again. And I understand that. So this might be a precursor to something, but if nothing else, they made a deal with him and he worked with Square Enix to revamp this game and bring it to consoles. So
It's kind of
it's my
amazing.
most
Yeah.
anticipated because I love the game. And also I'm just so happy, to see like, the dreams can come true.
Yeah, that is insane, and it's crazy that it was an Apple Arcade game, honestly. And then
Yeah, I know, right?
and then they did this to it. It's kind of mind blowing. So that's actually a great pick. I have 3 more games I want to mention real quick. I don't just because I want to see what you're going to say about this first
There's just
one.
one I want to talk about just because it looks interesting, but I think I'm mostly
So
I don't have
Marvel
a lot of other stuff
versus
to say.
Capcom 2, the whole collection.
Dude, there was that whole I watch.
Yeah, what do you
Sorry to
think
cut
about
you
that?
off, but there's a YouTuber named Maximilian Dude, and like he was
I think
one
I
of
know
the
who that is.
people. He was one of the people. He loves fighting games. That's his favorite genre, but he also plays other stuff. He was one of the people that was like part of the free
Yeah, I saw his reaction
MCV2
to it.
movement. Yeah, dude, like I freaking saw this and I immediately thought about him and like it's again, dreams come true. How long have people been wanting these games to be free from whatever legal prisons they were trapped in? And now not only are they bringing them back, but they're bringing back all of them and some other classic beat 'em ups. There's the
The
Punisher and stuff
Punisher.
like that. And and they added a whole bunch of quality of life. Like, I don't play fighting games, but I'm super happy for the people that do and are, gonna buy this and have been dreaming about this for years and years. Like, I can't believe it,
absolutely
honestly.
love fighting games, and especially beat 'em ups. So that's why I'm happy that they're gonna have. I believe the first X-Men one was a beat 'em up, and the Punisher was a beat 'em up. I've never really played any of these beat 'em ups because they're just old, and they've never had a great collection like this for me to jump in and play them on. So I'm gonna play all those. They're gonna have online support. They're gonna have, like you said, quality of life supports. Hopefully rollback. They're gonna have a.
It does have rollback.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Now, the next one I want to ask you about is Assassin's Creed Shadows. There was a small Ubisoft presentation that they did on their own, and they showed really only 2 games.
PlayStation or Xbox?
It's for both. So Assassin's Creed Shadows.
I mean, but which one of the showcases?
It wasn't. The Ubisoft had their own.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
But the game in general, I'm super excited for it. It seems interesting. There's so much controversy on it right now, which kind of a lot of it is justified because of some of the stuff. But anyways, Assassin's Creed, I don't know if that's your type of game because there's just so many different types of Assassin's Creed now.
I want to play some of the older ones, kind of Black Flag because I like pirates, and Mirage because I hear it's like kind of a back to basics. Dude, so there are a few that I want to play.
Mirage is so
I don't know when I'll play them, but I am interested at the very least.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited about this. That's all I really need to say. Nothing crazy there. Last thing, of course, Star Wars Outlaw. We got to talk about this. Star Wars Outlaws.
I didn't see. I have to watch that.
Yeah, they showed some new stuff, and they actually showed some very interesting things like what it is like to land on a planet. There's no loading screens. You just fly into the planet.
Oh, like how my God.
It should have been looking at you, Starfield. Yeah, Tom.
I'm just gonna clip through a little bit. This isn't gameplay. Wait,
it's cool because they have a GTA like system where the Empire will hunt you down if you do something bad. So just like in GTA, and then you have like a meter and it goes up. You know what I mean? Super cool. Apparently, according to this now, Outlaws focuses a lot on stealth, which is kind of interesting because we've never had a Star Wars game where it had stealth mechanics. Honestly.
It's coming out this year. Good God. I have to play Jedi Survivor first. Well, I don't have to, but I want to. So
that's no, that's the cool thing about it. That's what I'm trying to say. This is different than the Jedi games, which is awesome. This takes place in the original trilogy timeline. You're an outlaw. You can work for the Hutts if you want. You do whatever you want. You're a like a smuggler or whatever. It says obviously it drawing inspiration from the Uncharted series with its climbing, gunplay, and quippy characters. I'm excited for that, and it's literally Star Wars and a sci-fi story, all that stuff. Yeah, she's a scoundrel embarking on a series of quests to make it through a cutthroat galaxy. That's all you need to tell me. So instead of playing as a Jedi, unlike the Jedi games, where you're obviously playing as Cal Kestis, in this you're playing as the Han Solo type character. And the galaxy is your sandbox. So, I'm trying to think, have we missed anything, Tony?
I just wanted to briefly. I should have ended with a high on the Fantasian thing, but I just got to talk about where is it? This weird game, Farmagia.
Yep.
Yeah, this is like
Farmagia.
Yeah, whatever. This is like a farming game, RPG, monster capture. Like you farm crops, and then the crops turn into monsters that you have in your army, and then you fight creatures in kind of a Pikmin style. I don't necessarily think this looks good, but this might be like the only farming game in history that I'll check out because it just, I mean, like it looks creative at least, like it looks a little janky.
Yeah.
But maybe it was made by a small studio. I don't know. But yeah, I'm just super excited about Fantasian. They're releasing a remastered collection of the Ace Attorney investigation games. So I have to play
Oh
through
yeah,
that
that is pretty
series.
cool.
But now it's cool because they're all accessible on Switch. And that's where I prefer to play these kind of games usually. So I mean, I can't wait to jump into the series and solve some murder cases, which is my favorite thing. So I'm just all the way jazzed, really excited about all this stuff, except Funko Fusion. Screw that game, but everything
Yeah.
else looks good.
Yeah, honestly, that's pretty much it. So yeah, we'll end it with just talking about some games like Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is coming out. It has me kind of reminiscing on my time playing those games because Tony, I don't know if you realize this, but the Call of Duty campaigns are really good.
I've heard a few of them. I forget which one it is. I think it takes place in Russia, maybe.
Well,
I could be
and you
wrong.
go
I
different places
really,
in all the games, but uh, it just depends. But I love Call of Duty, and not because oh Warzone, let's hop on and play. I've been playing Call of Duty since the second game came out, Call of Duty 2. I played Big Red 1, and then I upgraded when the Xbox 360 came out because a launch game was Call of Duty 3, and that game had a great campaign and it had a great online for back in the day. I fell in love with it. World at War, one of my favorite games ever. And that started my love for the campaigns. So for the longest time, I would literally play the Call of Duty campaigns before I would play the multiplayer. And it was like you had to when you got the game, you had to play the single player, beat the campaign, and then you could go play multiplayer. And then I realized as I got older, no one else did that. Everyone jumped in straight to the multiplayer. It was playing the multiplayer, and nobody played the campaigns after a while. And they literally stopped making the campaigns. Black Ops 4 didn't have a campaign. So I'm glad that they're now going to still focus on single player along with everything else. Zombies, multiplayer, Warzone. They're just giving us all of it. And they should. They got the people for it. So the story is
that's the
amazing.
way
I'm
it should
excited
be.
they're gonna. That's exactly, and I'm very happy and excited they're gonna do it. Because Modern Warfare 3, the last game, was a huge letdown. You could tell they just rushed it to get something out because got to get a Call of Duty out this year. Would be the end of the world if there wasn't a Call of Duty. Call of Duty's been more consistent than anything else. It's always going to be there, but this one is looking to be amazing. So I went back, I played Cold War campaign. It was super good. Now I'm going to start playing the other ones again. Some I've never played before, some I want to replay. But yeah, I'm playing that. And I'm just looking forward to playing the other games that are coming out this year. Yeah, still playing Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. So
yeah, I think
that's
the
probably the rest
most
of
recent.
2024.
Yeah, I think the most recent game I was looking forward to that was released, I think it came out like yesterday. Still Wakes the Deep. It's like
Oh
an
yeah, okay.
underwater horror game.
Yep.
I've gotten into
really good.
survival horror games recently. That was a genre I'm bad at. I'm still not great at it, but I've gotten a little better. I recently I'd talk about this, so I could talk about this. Most of the Silent Hill games are basically impossible to get. They're really expensive. And Konami refuses to do any kind of proper remastering or proper ports to other
until
consoles
Silent
or
Hill
anything
2
like
coming out. But yes, you're
yeah,
right.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
But I managed to get a copy of Silent Hill 3, the original, not the HD, the original PS2 game for like $90, which sounds expensive, but compared to what it usually is, that's a bargain. So I bought that immediately. I've been playing that. I really like it. It's fun. So I can't wait for Still Wakes the Deep. And then there's some other stuff releasing. Luigi's Mansion 2 comes out
soon
in 8 days. What the flip?
Yeah.
Good God. I'm excited for that too.
Yeah. Now, Tony, we're talking about exciting games we're excited to play. My most anticipated game of all time comes out, and it is Sonic X Shadow Generations. That's the last thing I want to talk about.
Oh, nice.
It's literally just Sonic Generations, but with Shadow added to it and with his own story. So, there's been some talk online recently about Sonic. Is it good? Is it bad? And of course, majority is like, yeah, Sonic's terrible. But there are some good Sonic games, and this is going to be one of them because it's based off Generations, one of the best ones. So, excited for that. I know Sonic is just always going to have a place. You know, it's no matter what it is. It's 2D. I've been playing Sonic Superstars, or if it's a 3D game, Sonic is a high tier. I'm sitting here saying that Donkey Kong is mid. It's terrible. Metroid is mid and terrible, but yet Sonic is amazing. So don't ever take anything I say serious. And with that, that's all I gotta say. This was a great summer of game showcases. Sony was light, but can't have an amazing year every year. It's not like, they go a whole generation with no games. So they can go a summer with no big games. I think it'll be all right. Switch never lets up. They're insane. And then Xbox is finally going to have a great year. So overall, I'm very excited for this year.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited to finally have a reason to eventually get a new Xbox. So
yeah, I had
cool.
One of my friends text me today, and he was asking me if it would be worth it to get a Series S, and I told him, I said, yeah, get a Series S. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I'd say Xbox is probably the studio that makes the stuff that looks the most like interesting, like up my alley. They just kind of do whatever they want, and they're like a fair amount of like adventure type games or like cool indie games that I want to play are made by Microsoft. So I mean, I'm a little biased, but I mean, I have like a weird niche that I like, but I mean, like it's cool that even with the showcase, they announced a few things that appeal to me, and I want to get into Perfect Dark and Gears of War. And now look, we got some new entries in that franchise, so I'll play those. And if I like them, I'll buy a new Xbox. And then I have more. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, this has been a great summer of games, like I said. So, Tony, I agree with you. Thanks for coming on, talking about these games. I can't wait for our next 2 episodes because we're there. So, we're going to have fun. This is where the fun begins. This isn't the end. This is just where the fun begins. It's episode 50.
Now this is pod racing.
Now this is podcasting. I'm gonna get him to say that. I'm gonna get AI to recreate his voice. Now this is podcasting. Oh, I shouldn't even put this in the episode because no one's gonna hear this, but they're gonna listen to this and they're gonna steal my idea. Now this is pod racing, podcasting.